Hello, my name is Daniel, and I'll be walking you through your 2023 Sportsman 241 Rkse. We are just going to start off the back of the trailer. Do notice at the top there you are pre-wired for an observation camera. If you were to want to get that hooked up, you can just contact our parts department and they can get you everything you need to do so. I also mentioned that this is your overhead fan vent. To get that to pop out, you just take those two tabs and give them a pull, and it releases that flap. You are just going to want to have that open whenever you get to your campsite. That way you're evacuating the fumes from the stove. And then whenever you are traveling, just clipping it into place does help keep the dust out from getting inside. Also, you do have your furnace exhaust right back here. Just keep it in mind whenever the furnace is running, it is blowing out hot air, so you aren't going to want to block that. You also have your fridge service port at the back here. And then just your cable satellite inlet. And stored away in the back bumper here is just your sewer hose. Once fully extended, it is about 20 feet long. Just take a note of those two ears there. Those are the same two ears that'll connect up to your sewer hose. You got your power supply right up next to that. Just take a note of that ear there. It lines up with this ear there. Those two line up, push it in, give it about an 1/8 turn, it locks into place. You got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that back, you do just have your standard 30 amp plug end. Most campsites should have this and you'll be able to plug right on in, but if they don't, we do also include a 15 amp park adapter. Even if you're at home and you want to run that fridge on the driveway, just keep it in mind you're going down to 15 amps of power, so you can't run something like your air conditioner. Whenever you do have this plugged in, you got a red and a blue light. Blue light's telling you got a successful power source. Red light would be telling you that you have a bad power source. That'd be something you'd have to look into. In this corner, as well as all four corners of the trailer, you do have stabilizer jacks. The way those work is you just hook the tool up that's in the front compartment, run this down to the ground. Once that foot contacts the ground, just giving it another 1/8 turn just to firm it up. And it's just going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. And then you just have your hot water service port back here. The only things you're going to have to worry about back here is just this pressure relief valve. Whenever you first get to your campsite, you just want to give that a pull. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there. Because there's no water that came out of there, that's just telling you that the tank's empty. This unit's currently winterized, so it wouldn't be safe to fire up that water tank because you run the risk of burning out your probes. You do have your main drain bolt right below here. If you want to drain the tank for winter, or if you're leaving the unit for a while, you don't want water sitting in there, you can just unthread that and it'll drain the tank completely. I'm going to go over a reset procedure inside. The button I refer to is just right here. Right here you do have your one waste tank. Just taking note of those two ears there. Those are the same two ears that were on your sewer hose. They just line up with those notches in any order. You're always going to want to empty your black tank first and then follow behind that with your gray tank, because your black tank is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and your gray tank is going to be typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. A little further ahead, you do have another sewer outlet. It's going to work the same way as the front one, but this one is going to be for this one's actually your black tank, and the other two, the one in the back is a galley, which is just your sink, and this is going to be your bathroom sink and your shower. Your fresh tank drain was actually back here. Never mind, so on the other side. In this compartment here, if you open this up, you do have that 15 amp park adapter I told you about. And then just right next to that, you do have your city water connection. So if you're out at the site with service, you can just thread the garden hose into here, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all your lines. And then you have your fresh water fill right below that, just to fill your fresh water tank. Right down here is just the drain for your fresh water tank. You crack that guy open, and it's just going to drain your fresh water tank. At the front, you have your battery disconnect as well as your battery box. Your battery box is where your battery is located. And then you got your two front propane tanks. Most of the time you can access what you need to do right from the front here, right from up top here. But in this situation, I will just pull this off. You got 2 tanks, barbecue style, so you just open it up to turn them on. To turn it on, you can run one at a time. With the valve pointed this way, you are running off this tank. If this tank were to go empty, you just close this, switch it over to that side, and you'd be running off this tank while you get this one filled. And then you do just have your tongue jack up front here. You got a light, and then you got up and down. And then just up top, you got this rubber cap. If you pop this rubber cap off, there is just a little nut in there, and we do include the override tool for lowering that in case you ever have a power issue or a jack issue. Inside this compartment is just some more storage, as well as those 2 bars I told you about. So this one is going to be for your stabilizer jacks. This one's going to be for your stabilizer, this one's going to be for your front tongue jack. And this other one will be for your stabilizer jacks. So you just take that in there, run it up to there. One way's down, the other one is up. A little further down the unit, you do have an exterior shower with hot and cold water. You just need your 751 key to unlock that. And then just on this side here is just a black tank flush. Let's say you're getting false monitor panel readings or you're noticing an odor inside, you can just thread a garden hose up to here when you're hooked up to your sewer with the valve open, and it's just going to rinse out that tank, keeping it that little bit cleaner. And then just right below here, tucked underneath this skirt, you do have your 2 low point drains. Let's say you want to drain your water lines. That's where you do so. You got another cable satellite outlet here, as well as 110 plug, and then just a leash latch for the dog. To get inside, you just push that assist handle up, hold it 90 degrees, and it locks into place. You're going to open up that door. Then you do just have your stairs that fold down. Just taking note of these two knobs here. Allows you to adjust your feet for your campsite needs, so your stairs sit nice and level. Taking a step inside, first thing you're going to notice is your fire extinguisher down on your right. And then just up on the wall here, you do have your main monitor panel, control panel. This one light switch does turn on all the lights in the living space. And then you do have your slide out button. Hitting that button down is going to make that slide out go out. You're going to know that slide out's fully extended when you hear the whines and clicking of the motor. And then you will notice you also have 2 options for your water heater. You can fire it on electric or you can fire it on gas. If you fire it on gas, this DSI fault light's going to come on. The water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this is going to stay on, at which point you do have to turn this switch off, go hit that reset button, and then you can turn this back on and it'll try relighting itself, because sometimes it does take a minute just to clear all the air out of the propane lines. And then you do just have your water pump switch right next to that. And then this switch here just does turn on a little light right below the awning there, little spotlight. And then you do have your awning button. You hit that button, extend, that awning's gonna start making its way out. You're gonna know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. There you go, you got that back of the metal tube and the little flap hanging down. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, just pull down on it, and it's gonna change the pitch of the awning head, allowing the water to then run off. Now if you do like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm, and it's gonna allow for more shade underneath the awning. Just always making sure you pull these arms back to straight before you bring in that awning. In the kitchen area, you do have your Northvolt fridge and freezer. The controls for that are just right up front here. You hit that power button. You hit that power button and hold it. It's going to turn itself on. Well, I'm not sure why that's not turning on, but I'll have to look into that after the video. But right below there, you do have some storage underneath here. And then you do have your kitchen stove with your range hood. So whenever you are running the stove, you want to have that range hood on just so you're evacuating some of those fumes. That being said, the furnace and the stove both do run off propane. So this unit is equipped with a LP detector, which is just located back here. If this guy were to ever start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and just open up the windows just to ventilate it, let those fumes escape. To get that stove running, you do just have to flip this stove top up, turn the knobs over to light, hit it with the sparker. It does fire right on up. I'll note that sometimes when you have the propane off for a while and go to fire it up, it can take a bit to get all the air out of the lines. So you just got to be patient with it and give it a second. To get the oven to light, just turning it over to that little pilot light option, pushing that knob in. You're gonna hit the spark, it's gonna fire up, and then once that pilot light is lit, you can just turn it up to your desired temperature and it fires right on up. Always being careful with this glass cover. Right below the sink, if you take these two screws out for this false panel, it'll give you access to your bypass valves for your hot water tank for winterization. You got a microwave that's gonna be just like home. In the dinette area, in the slide out area, you do have this couch. It does pull out into a bed. You just have to grab the foot of that couch. Grab the foot of that couch, just pull up, pops out of place, and then you just got to fold those legs out. Once those legs are folded out, it just locks down like so. And then you just take your cushions, move them out of the way, and this comes down, and you have yourself a bed. To get it back, it's just kind of the same process. Grabbing it, folding it in, while folding the legs in. It just sits down nice like so. Then you just take your cushions and put them back on. All the blinds in the unit do kind of work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. So if you leave them up, or you can pull them down. In the kitchen the table and the dinette, you can also turn into a bed. You just having to remove those bottom legs, take the tabletop and line them up with those little slots. Take your back cushions and fill in the center. You get to your entertainment center, you do have your TV backer with your little coax plug-in. Just take a note of this little back button. Whenever you turn this on and this green light comes on, you are just turning the antenna on the roof, which also improves radio frequency. Right below there, you do have your radio. That's going to be just like home, minus the fact that you're having zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 2 is going to be your exterior speakers, and zone 1 is going to be your interior speakers. Right down below here, you do have your control panel, or your fuse panel. So whenever a fuse pops, you're going to have a little red indicator light telling you which one's popped, and for some reason this one has one that hasn't been. So put that back on. And whenever a breaker pops, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. I'll take you over to the thermostat now. You do have a few settings. On the right, you do have your fan options. So whenever you have that fan switched to the right on either high or low, the fan is going to run full time on either a high or low fan, regardless of the temperature. And if you switch it over to auto, it's going to become an on-demand system. So once the thermostat reaches reached its set temperature, you can either turn it to heat, fan, or cool, and it'll turn off depending on what option you're on. The first option is hitting it to the right. You're going to turn on the heat, and the heat does come out of all the floor vents you see around the unit. And then if you turn it over to cool or fan, it is just going to move all its air through the ceiling ducting and the main plenum. If you open up the door, you can get inside the bathroom, where you do have your main GFI plug, as well as a sink with hot and cold water, as well as a shower. And then you do have this fan overhead. To raise that up, you just twist that knob, it raises itself up, and you can turn the fan on with the little switch on the wall. If you do want a max air vent so that you can have this running whether it's raining or not, and leave it open while traveling, you can contact our parts department. They can get you set up for that. Coming back to the GFI plug, you do have test on the bottom. Test on the bottom, reset up top. Whenever this green light's on, it's just telling you have a successful circuit. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, that would be the first place I'd look, just to make sure that's not tripped. And then just your toilet. All the light, I will also mention that all the lights in the unit are on their own center push buttons, so you can turn them off and on individually as you please. And the lights inside the bedroom are just on their own center push buttons specifically. And in the bedroom, you do have a TV backer right here, as well as a satellite plug-in. You are pre-wired for Wi-Fi, and you are also pre-wired for solar if you were to want to do so. The bed does have USB plugins as well as 120 plugins. And then in the bedroom, you do have a fire exit. The way that works is you just take this little red tab, pull it, that screen pops out like so. And you can just take this handle, push it, and you can hop on out of the unit. Locking it back into place. This just presses back into place with some metal tabs. Snaps into place. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.